KSJE 90.9 FM.
Hey there, what have you been doing for the past 2 years? If you're like most, you've been sitting around, not able to go anywhere or do anything. In other words, you've been training for the KSJE 0 Mile Fun Run. That's right, KSJE's 0 Mile Fun Run is back and it's better than ever. Join us at 10:30 Saturday morning, May 21st at San Juan College Learning Commons Plaza. Get your t-shirt now for $15 and support KSJE. Find out more at ksje.com/funrun.
Next time on Philosophy Talk, the Doomsday Doctrine.
Today's nuclear weapons are magnitudes more powerful than the first atomic bomb.
A war involving them would wipe out all life on Earth.
So how do we justify keeping so many nuclear weapons?
Or threatening to use them.
Our guest is renowned whistleblower and one-time nuclear war planner Daniel Ellsberg.
The Doomsday Doctrine, next time on Philosophy Talk.
They're talking about nuclear war.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, a community-owned and operated hospital. Here for you when you need us. From emergency care to routine checkups and screenings, caregivers are here and ready to provide the safe, high-quality care you need close to home. Online at sanjuanregional.com with the latest health information and resources to help you live life better here. "11 minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, April the 5th, 2022. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM, over the air, of course, here in San Juan County. Everywhere else on the planet, you can tune in, of course, KSJE.com. And we also welcome our viewers because this is a community-supported visual radio station. The video is streaming out live this morning to the KSJE Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Twitter account. So we're glad that you are with us this morning, everybody, because coming up in the next few moments, it is our monthly commitment to C.H.I.C, the Community Health Improvement Council here in San Juan County. My guest this morning from SAS, Sexual Assault Services of Northwest New Mexico. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so there is plenty to talk about with my guest this morning. So stay tuned for our conversation beginning in the next few moments right here on KSJE. Later on this hour, we'll be checking in with Amber Francisco from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. She will be showing us some of the pets available for adoption this week, including Percy. That's the good-looking dog you see on the screen right there. Percy is available this week. We'll talk about him and more coming up later on this hour. Next hour, Mick Hess is going to take us roving with the arts. It is our weekday classical music program. Today, Mick is featuring music from the great Joseph Haydn. You'll hear music from him coming up today, 9:06 after the news on KSJE. Don't forget, you can also connect with us on our Instagram page in addition to Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. And if you're a podcast person, we invite you to subscribe for free to KSJE Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, and you can check them out on popular podcast apps like iTunes and Spotify and iHeart and Google Podcasts and Pandora and much, much more. Check us out. Take us with you. Subscribe for free. Weather forecast, it is currently partly cloudy outside our studios here at San Juan College. The temperature about 37 degrees. On our way to a high today of 70, but we could see some winds kicking up. Partly sunny skies, warm. The high near 70. There is a fire weather advisory in effect, also a wind advisory in effect as well. We could see some blowing dust in some parts of the area today. The high 70, as I mentioned, with those gusty winds maybe reaching 50 miles per hour this afternoon. Clear and windy overnight tonight with a low of 38 degrees. Windy again, sunshine, but cooler tomorrow with a high of 58. On Wednesday, windy Wednesday night with a low of 31. Things may calm down a bit for Thursday and Friday. The high 63 with sunshine on Thursday, 71. Sunny skies on Friday, and maybe getting all the way up to 78 with partly sunny skies on Saturday. Well, let me introduce my guests who are joining me this morning, as I mentioned, representing C.H.I.C, the Community Health Improvement Council of San Juan County, and from Sexual Assault Services of Northwest New Mexico. Eliana Butler is joining us this morning, Executive Director. Good morning, and thank you for coming back to visit with me on KSJE.
Well, thank you for having us back so soon.
You bet. It's always great to talk with you. Brandy Wright is also joining us this morning. Good morning, Brandy.
Yes, good morning.
Good to have you both back with me to talk a bit about the work that you all do. And I guess the most important, or the first thing I want to ask you about, in addition to other important things I want to ask you about, is how the run went. You just had the C.H.I.C run on Saturday that we talked about the last time you were with me. And so how did it go?
It went great. We had a really good turnout. We had over 60 runners and walkers. And all in all, between the sponsorships, the registrations, and the individual fundraisers that some of the runners did, we raised over $11,000 for SAS and the services we provide. So that was a real success.
Sounds great. And it sounds like, was that more than you expected or about what you were hoping for? What do you think?
You know, these days, I don't know what we expect. I always have a goal.
Right. Okay.
We always have a goal. And originally the goal was $10,000. So yes, and then I upped it just a little as the fundraisers were coming in. And so at that point, I raised it to 12.5 just as a goal. And we raised over 11.5, which was amazing.
That is amazing.
And to have so many participants, it was just fun.
Right. And wonderful. And the newspaper picked up on it. Great story in the paper. So again, congratulations. And we were happy to be a part of it too in a small way. So thank you for letting us help to get the word out about the C.H.I.C run. So glad that
thanks for doing that. Your sponsorship's always incredible. And I know we get more participants just because of that.
Well, we're happy to be a great partner. And that brings us to our topic today, because it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month throughout the month of April. And today actually is an important day, the day of action today, right? And so let's talk a little bit about what that means for folks.
So the Day of Action is a day for people all over the country. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center actually started this back in 2004. And really what it is to build awareness around sexual violence prevention. And so back in 2004, it's a national campaign. It's been going on for that long. They just encourage folks to wear teal today. And there's a couple different ways that you can participate. Wear teal, so I have my Got Consent shirt on, and post to social media and use things like at hashtag SAAM, Day of Action, support survivors, lots of different hashtags, but that's one way that a person can participate in the Day of Action. Folks can also participate by calling their local rape crisis center and making a donation to support all of the efforts that they do in the community to support folks who have experienced sexual violence. And then, of course, just supporting all of the educators here in our community who get this education out to the schools and to any place, any organization and agency around sexual violence prevention. So lots of things that can happen on the Day of Action. It's always the first Tuesday of April. So just keep that in mind for next year. Always the first Tuesday of April is going to be the day to wear teal. So that's today.
There you go. Very good. So we'll see a lot of teal around today is what you're telling us.
Yes.
And
at San Juan College today, if you are wearing teal and you go in front of the clock tower and take a selfie, take that over to the Student Activities Office or the Native American Center, the Herencia Center, any of those places in student activities, and you'll get a cool prize. So if you're there on campus, go take a selfie in front of the clock tower and go visit one of those directors.
There you go. Great. And there's a lot of events going on here at the college, actually, that we want to talk about as well. But again, really important to, I think, point out the work of sexual assault services here. And Eliana, just remind us again, you folks are on duty 24/7. It's 365, it seems to me. You folks are always available and have resources for folks who need them.
Absolutely. Yes. So the services we provide range from the acute crisis response and care for someone who's recently experienced a sexual assault. That's the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiners program, along with our rape crisis advocates, which Brandy is one of. Our SANE and our advocates respond to the survivors at the time the assault occurs to provide medical care, forensic evidence collection, information resources, and to help folks and survivors make the decision that's right for them at the time. I will throw in, because sometimes I forget this, that all our services are free. So everything we talk about, there's no charge to the survivor or their family. And then we have therapy services. We do a lot, obviously, of community education and awareness. And then we have primary prevention education programs that we mostly do in the schools that are longer curriculums with students to help them really understand what sexual violence is, but then they can take a part in preventing it. And then at the same time also get help if they need it.
Very good. And I would point out, too, that I think the one of the reasons that your services are free is because of these great fundraisers that you're able to do and the support from the community and other funders to keep them free for folks in the community, right?
Definitely. We are a nonprofit agency, so we're mostly grant funded and or community supported. So we have over 25 different funding sources to keep those 5 programs I just mentioned, going all the time. And that's so important. Part of the commitment from our funders, and it's also comes from the federal government. So VAWA, which is the Violence Against Women Act, which actually just got renewed, the feds and then down to the states have said victims of crime should not have to pay for the costs of those crimes. So along with the services we provide, we also connect survivors with much needed emergency funding to help pay for those things that are a result of the crime. So some of those examples are if someone's glasses are broken, those can be replaced at no charge to them. If a lock was broken or a window, if they need counseling services ongoing, what we do is free. But for example, for children, if and when they experience a sexual assault, they can apply, their families can apply on their behalf to what's called the Crime Victims Reparation Commission here in New Mexico, and every state has one that then over their lifetime will cover the costs that may come down the road, like mental health care.
Gotcha. That's good to know, I think, because maybe a lot of folks aren't aware of that resource that is available in our state as well as all the other states, as you mentioned, for folks. Again, there may be, unfortunately, long-term effects from sexual assaults, and so while someone may not think about it today, that they may be in need of services down the road, as you mentioned.
Right.
That's very important. Let's talk about some of the events that are happening here at the college during the month of April. And, of course, they're open to the community and open to students as well. One of the things the college is doing today is a mindfulness event, I believe.
Yeah, Nicole Leisman is actually heading up this entire series, I guess is the best way to describe that. So each week she's meeting with students to around mindfulness and wellness. And so this week is what is mindfulness, just talking about what it means to be mindful. And then over the next 3 weeks, she's going to go through a guided meditation with students and folks. They're going to do a body scanning and progressive muscle relaxation. That's in the 3rd week of April. And then on the 4th week, they're going to do a mindfulness walk where they're just getting together and being very mindful and just, I think, getting outdoors, and all of those things are so good for our mental health. And so that's what that entire thing is centered around. And Nicole Leisman is just a wonderful person, and she's the perfect person to head that up.
Right. Well, we've been hearing a lot, I think, about mindfulness and how important it is for everybody, not just a college student or whomever, to be mindful and aware of what's going on around us and things along that line. And so this is happening again today. It looks like 6 to 7 p.m. virtually, and then tomorrow morning in person, maybe 11:30 to 12:30, right here at the San Juan College Student Center, room 1621.
Yeah.
As I read it off the screen for our radio audience who can't see it. But there you go. And then a whole month of other things going on as I turned the page here. And so as you were mentioning, there's a whole series of things happening for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, but also some other things going on. And Brandy, if you want to highlight a few or all of them that we should be aware of as well, because it's a pretty packed schedule here at the college.
So we are we like to be as involved as we can with all of these folks. And so either myself or as well as somebody else will be there with me, just kind of representing our office. So we're meeting with the nursing program actually on the 7th, on Thursday night, to just meet with them and explain to them what it means to be a SANE nurse. They are all about to go into the field, and so this might be something that they're interested in down the road. And so just sort of explaining to them what being a SANE nurse looks like and how to do that. So we're really excited to meet with those future nurses. And then we get to meet with the Latina community, and we are specifically going to be talking to them about children and how to prevent child sexual abuse or signs of child sexual abuse. And we also will be meeting with the Student Success Center, and that's a presentation that I get to head up, where I'm just talking to folks about what to do if someone they know ever experiences sexual violence, what to do, who to call, and how they can support them through that time. We will be a part of the drag bingo that's happening on campus on April 14th. That is at the Student Success Center. They're the ones who are in charge of it in the Student Sun Lounge. There are some drag queens and kings that are very excited to host drag bingo. I think that sounds like a really fun event. And they are going to highlight sexual assault prevention, sexual violence prevention that night as well. And then the Native American Center will be showing a documentary. I watched the trailer for this, and so I want to encourage folks out there to find this trailer. It's called Bring Her Home. It's by Twin Cities on PBS. They have talked about bringing the director here, and what they're going to do is they're going to very specifically talk about what this film is about and how it was made. But basically, it tells the story of 3 Indigenous women fighting to vindicate and honor their missing and murdered relatives. So it's really centered around the missing and murdered Indigenous women movement, and talk specifically about how this epidemic that is happening in our country, and really is just trying to bring light that this is very real and it's happening. And sometimes it's something that people just don't even know exists or is, a problem. And so that's really what this is about, is just bringing light to this issue and just trying to help people understand it so that we can end missing and murdered women and children.
Right.
Let's see. We also, there's going to be Denim Day, of course, on the 27th. This is a campus-wide event where you're going to see professors and faculty members and students. Everyone will hopefully be wearing jeans of some sort or denim, just to recognize what happened a very long time ago around this woman who was wearing jeans and was assaulted, and why we recognize Denim Day on the 27th.
Very good. And there's another event, I think, about just another presentation about SAS on the 27th as well, right?
Yes. So we just try to get into the college as much as possible, especially during Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And I love meeting with the directors and the professors and the club sponsors, all of those folks. They're always so generous with their time to meet with me and just give me some space to share this education and information. So we always really appreciate that.
Very good, very good. And so for some of these events that we've mentioned, some of them are in-person events, but others are available on Zoom. The film is an in-person event on the 14th, and so we should mention that. The Drag Bingo event is an in-person event at 7 p.m. also on the 14th. But there are other options for joining by Zoom as well for some of these things that we're talking about this morning.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we learned through the pandemic, is that while meeting in person is really important, sometimes accessibility is definitely at the top of that importance list. And that means giving folks an option to be able to meet virtually. And so we definitely want to make sure that folks have both of those options available to them. So if you are somebody who's not able to make it to the in-person portion, presentation or event, there's always going to be a virtual link that is going to to go with each one of these events. Simply for accessibility, we want folks to be able to come and enjoy and learn.
Very, very true. Very true. You mentioned the presentation by one of your nurses coming up on, I believe, Thursday. And Eliana Butler, that leads me to ask you about the need for nurses at SAS. Is that still something that you are looking for, is to add more nurses to your staff?
Yes. And you can ask me any day of any year, and I will say yes.
Okay.
So it's such a unique position and job in the forensic nursing field. And so the way we talk about it with nurses is it's a whole new avenue of nursing practice that is very specialized, and it takes a really unique person to be able to do it. And in our area, forensic nursing, it really is focused around SANE and the sexual assault nurse examiners. We currently have 3 nurses who are rotating every day to provide those exams. And then we have a nurse practitioner who does our delayed children's exams. What we know about kids is they often don't disclose within the initial, which is the 3-day time frame from when that assault happened. And so we have the ability to provide anyone under the age of 18 with an exam after the 3 or 5 day window, depending on their age. So that's really crucial. But it's a lot, and all our nurses work full-time jobs. So one thing I like folks to know is this is not a full-time job. It's really a service to the community, to come and take some call hours. There's a requirement of 72 hours a month, and we have lots of timelines open, in particular right now during the weekday. We have weekends really well covered. We have evenings really well covered. And so for those nurses out there, for those students who might be listening, or they listen to April Stovall, who's one of our nurses who's presenting on the 7th, ask lots of questions. I had a nurse once who called me literally 2 years after she graduated, because that's about the requirement. They need some really good acute nursing experience before they start here, and said, okay, it's been 2 years. When can I start as a SANE? And that was great. So we talk to anyone, anytime about our nursing program, and we really try to work with people's schedules and help that fit in with our need. So yeah, it's a good chance for us to say, yes, if you're a nurse and you're interested or you've been thinking about it, please call us.
Very good. Well, I hope we can get the word out and fill some of those gaps in your on-call schedule, because as I mentioned, this is one of those things that your folks are available 24/7, 365 to be available for folks. And so that's really important.
And I want to be really clear too. Our rape crisis hotline is answered 24/7, and our 4 advocates who rotate the administrator on call literally can talk to people any time of the day or night, and will arrange for whatever their need is at that time.
Very good. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that and making sure everyone understands that. I want to ask you both a bit about just, again, raising awareness of sexual assault and again, for this whole month, when we talk about this, but again, the other 11 months out of the year, I really hope we don't stop talking about this, because this is an issue that is with us all the time, unfortunately. And as we've talked a little bit about the issues facing Native American and Indigenous women who are missing, and there's more awareness to that, which I think is well overdue. So I think it's really important to keep talking about this, even when we're not in a sexual assault awareness month, and just bring it up. But there's still kind of that stigma, I think, that's attached to it that is getting less and less, but it's still there a little bit. Is that what you all are seeing as well? Are we getting better about talking about this? Brandy, let me start with you.
I think we are getting better about talking about it. I think that it always makes people uncomfortable. And so we are always just trying to be, first of all, very just cognitive, that it makes people uncomfortable, but also just kind of pushing that envelope a little bit, because it is so important. And so, the topic that we will always bring to a space is talking about consent. And what is consent? What does it mean to give consent? And that means, ongoing, unhabilitated, so no drugs, no alcohol, yes. Consent can go away, all of those things. So just really, really making it clear what consent is and how important that is. And then just really talking about being an active bystander. if you see something and it makes you uncomfortable, it makes you feel like something might happen, say something, or, help somebody out, whatever that is. And that makes people feel uncomfortable. So it's really just kind of pushing that envelope a little bit, and also being very culturally aware of how people feel and how people perceive sexual violence. And so just being aware of that, not skirting around the issue in any kind of way, but really just being gentle culturally and cognitive of it. So whenever we go into a space, we know our audience, and we try to be very aware of some biases that audience might have. And so we sometimes try to speak to those biases to help change the thought process and the culture around this, because ultimately that is what prevention is culture change. And so it's just building information, building education, and talking about how this is a continuum of harm and what leads to this type of violence.
Right. Very true. Eliana, anything to add to what Brandy was saying about having these conversations and being willing to talk about it with folks?
No, and Brandy speaks so well about what we do and why it's so important. I did want to highlight that for SAM, Sexual Assault Awareness Month this month, the theme nationally is building safe online spaces together. So that's another component of where we find boundaries really being crossed all the way to inappropriate and or leading to sexual assault and sexual violence. So having people understand online spaces also need to be safe. There's a ton of resources online, and I'll just highlight the website is the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, and they go through, there's whole sections for survivors and families and advocates. So that's just another place for folks to get resources and to understand how to help, especially kids and young adults, be safe online. So I just wanted to highlight the national theme, because that can be a really scary place, especially for parents who don't know what their kids are doing online. Brandy might have something to add around that. We're not doing anything super specific around that this month, but that is the national theme.
Sure.
And
well,
really good place to go.
Right. I hear you. And I know, again, as we talk about online spaces and with kids on social media and sharing things, and folks seem to be very unfiltered when it comes to social media, even more unfiltered than they are maybe talking to someone in person. And I don't know, Brandy, if you've seen that and have to talk to folks about that and just what to be aware of and how to be so careful online, because you're right. I think we need more safe places online for folks. People get way out of control.
Yeah. Whenever there's always a parent in the audience that says, how am I supposed to protect my kid, my teenager from, being exploited or something like that. And ultimately it means having conversations with your teenagers, having conversations with your kids about this, specifically about how people can take advantage and can coerce and manipulate. And it's about just being really transparent with your children. Also, the person who is in charge of internet crimes against children, his name is Anthony Mays. I can't ever remember his title, but he works for the Attorney General's office. And basically what he would say is look at your teenager's phone. You have an open dialogue with them that, the passwords to their social media, their password to their phone. And it's not about not trusting your teenagers, because there should be privacy. Teenagers deserve privacy, just like we deserve privacy in our lives. But it's about just trying to help them understand that manipulation happens, coercion happens, and having that open dialogue with them. And sometimes it means that there's some consequences, because you might see something that you don't necessarily want to see. But it always comes down to just being very open with your kids. And ultimately, that means talking about this stuff. So I always say, talk to your kids about body autonomy. Talk to your kids about consent. Help them understand how to give consent and get consent. And that means in a virtual space as well. pictures can be exchanged, and that, as well as, in person, that all has to happen consensually. And if it doesn't, then it's a problem.
Right.
And so, again, be transparent, have these conversations with your kids, and it can be difficult. Please don't hear me say like, oh, it's so easy. It's not. And so you have to get a little bit out of your comfort zone just to help your young people understand, how
Sure.
to be safe online as well.
Right. Understood. And I would think, too, that there are some resources available for parents to maybe help kind of prompt those types of conversations. If a parent is maybe dreading having to sit down with their child, even though they understand how important it is to do that, the act of actually sitting down and talking about these things, I imagine there are some resources for parents to maybe refer to ahead of time to help them broach the topic, aren't there?
Yes, absolutely. We've been talking a lot about the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, NSVRC. They have a whole campaign right now on their Instagram page that is talking specifically about ways to help you talk about this with your kids, and also keep yourself safe. Online dating is very real, and there's always a risk that comes with that. And so their Instagram page is a perfect place. Also, if you are a Facebook person, their Facebook page is highlighting a lot of this information as well. There is the Trevor Project. They have a whole section on their website, trevorproject.org, where they very specifically are helping parents have conversations with young people. And of course, if you are a person that just doesn't want to read something online, there's hotlines for you to call and talk to somebody. Literally, you can pose what's going to this expert on a hotline call, and they're going to talk it through with you. So whether it's the National Sexual Violence Resource Center hotline or the Trevor Project, either one of those, they have people that are going to be available 24 hours a day to literally walk through this conversation or how this conversation might go with your young person.
Very good. Very good. Well, thank you both very much for coming in and talking with me this morning about Sexual Assault Awareness Month from SAS, Sexual Assault Services, of course. Eliana Butler, Brandy Wright, thank you both very, very much.
Yes, thank you, Scott, for having us. Happy Day of Action, everybody.
There you
Wear
go.
your teal.
Wear your teal.
Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. Thank you both. Take care. My guest this morning here on KSJE.
KSJE is supported by the Farmington Civic Center, bringing a full slate of entertainment to Farmington and San Juan County. Ballet Folklorico, celebrating their 70th anniversary, Wednesday, April 6th at 7:30 p.m. The Farmington Civic Center, 200 West Arrington in downtown Farmington. Find out more online at fmtn.org/shows or 505-599-1148. KSJE is supported by the Durango Bluegrass Meltdown, April 17th, 18th, and 19th in Durango, Colorado. The Meltdown features walkable indoor venues with Bruce Molsky and Tony Trischka, Special Consensus, Unspoken Tradition in A.J. Lee, and Blue Summit. There'll be an old-time barn dance, band contest, workshops, jamming, and bluegrass in downtown bars. Find out more at DurangoMeltdown.com. KSJE and San Juan College present the Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week. Week 11, study with friends and study groups. Encouraging friends to study with you can make everything more fun and productive. Ask your classmates to study with you at a certain time and location. Studying together in person can help you hold each other accountable too. You don't want to be that person who cancels or doesn't show, right? Teaching a friend or family member or even your pet the material is a great way to see how well you know it. When you explain it to someone else, you'll have a better grasp of which information you already have mastered and which information you need to study. The Student Success Coaching Tip of the Week, presented by KSJE and the Student Achievement Center at San Juan College.